Experienced attorney Misty Marris to talk more about this lawsuit. Misty, thanks for being here. And I want to jump right in. There are dozens of pages here, and Ryan Bass just highlighted some of it. What accusations are standing out to you tonight in this lawsuit?
It is those human trafficking accusations that are really jumping off these 67 pages, Natasha, because this lawsuit goes beyond just allegations of sexual assault and abuse, which are absolutely horrific and terrible. But it actually takes it a step further to say that this employee not only experienced that abuse at the hands of Vince McMahon, but that in fact it went beyond that there was a sex trafficking operation whereby she was passed around to other individuals inside and outside of the organization. So all of those allegations together, just from a legal perspective, trigger immediate action on the part of the company, WWE, the new owner, the board, to conduct an immediate investigation into her allegations, the policies and practices, and ensure that this isn't happening to anyone else, and also to investigate the veracity of the allegations as set forth in her complaint.
Yeah, and Misty, it takes a lot to shock you. I know. Is there a detail in particular that is sticking in your mind?
Well, I'm looking at a lot of text messages, which would tend to corroborate her allegations in the complaint. Now, look, there are significant defenses that can be raised. This is, of course, only her side of the story, but these text messages, I've been practicing for almost 20 years, and these are shocking, the content, and they speak to exactly the allegations that are at the heart of the statutes that she's raising. The control aspect, the involvement of other people. So to me, these text messages are some of the most appalling when it comes to breaking down the allegations in this suit.
And based on your reading of the lawsuit, how strong of a case does the prosecution have against McMahon? How likely is his conviction?
So this is a civil lawsuit. So it relates to it's going to be monetary. So it's yeah, no problem. So she's the plaintiff. Now there's some issues raised in the lawsuit, which from a legal perspective may pose a challenge to her. In January of 2022, she signed an NDA according to these allegations. Now she's arguing that NDA, which would provide confidentiality and would essentially waive her right to bring any claim under any legal theory, she's saying that should be found void and unenforceable on several legal theories, one relating to federal law that was passed after that time, and the other saying that basically she was in a position where the bargaining power was all on McMahon and the WWE's side. So that's a challenge, though, because oftentimes if someone is a signatory to an agreement, it can be upheld. Now, that would not include any allegations that happened after the signing of the agreement. And in her complaint, she describes a very, very disturbing encounter that I will not go through the details that occurred in March of that year. So all of that would be fair game. In addition to that, she says that she was never paid the amount in the NDA. Now, that could be a breach of contract. That could serve to potentially null and void some of the provisions. But that's going to be a defense there, and that's going to be an issue for whether or not this lawsuit moves forward.
Okay, thank you so much for breaking that down for us. Misty Marris, thank you for your time tonight. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.